Good morning. Welcome to another Wine Steward video. Coming to you from the floor of the Wine Steward this time around to demonstrate that we're into this World Cup thing going on right now. A bottle of red, a glass of white. I have a lot of preferences as far as who I would like to see win. Of course, the good old US of A is doing very well this time around, but my old favorite Spain is as well. And Argentina, I mean, who can resist watching the work of Lionel Messi, and so not rooting for him. Perhaps you would like to come in and come up and watch a World Cup game. Every game that is on while we are open is being played upstairs at the wine bar. I think it's a really especially cool event, sporting event per wine lovers, because at least if we're open-minded wine lovers, we always feel like a good bottle of wine is a journey somewhere, and often halfway around the world, across the pond somewhere, or down to Argentina. You could, in fact, bring up a bottle of this. We're not serving it on the wine bar flight, but why not root on your favorite team, if that's Argentina, and have a gorgeous Malbec from there. That's just a suggestion, but an indication of the fact that this is a world wine shop, and we're watching a World Cup at the same time as appreciating wine. Pretty cool, right? So come on in, root for your team, whomever they may be, and have some wine perhaps from that particular country. You know, there's another event coming up, another sporting event that is, and an event at the Wine Steward aligned with that, and that would be Le Tour de France. The Tour de France begins on July 4th this year, I believe, and this is among the wines that will be supporting that idea a few days before. On June 30th, we have the pleasure of hosting once again the likes of Gregoire and Paul. Both of them, if I said their names correctly, you can tell that they're French guys, and they each import wine, and they agree not necessarily to compete all the time, but to occasionally collaborate by joining forces. Since they're both small and young, hardworking business guys, and you know, they're working against the huge corporate wine concerns out there that always have an edge as far as accessing certain wines, but especially selling things for a little less on lower margin. But those wines coming from those guys, the big guys, are larger production things and less meaningful to us. We really like Paul and Gregoire because they're real guys with thick French accents, but especially because they find wines that are small in production, the likes of which only a wine shop like us can represent. You'll never see them at Costco because those guys don't make enough of those wines. So come and celebrate that idea. Small production, Tour de France. Let's go on June 30th all over the place and stay on the mezzanine at the same time. We are going to visit Bordeaux and the Rhone 3 times, and Burgundy 4 times, Champagne once. We'll go to the Loire Valley at least twice, and we'll visit Alsace as well. So it's going to be maybe not comprehensive, but we're going to get around. We'll also go to Terrasse de Larzac and tell you where the hell we're going. Like, there's going to be a lesson with each wine. And we have just finished figuring out what to pour, because it is a bit of a challenge to choose 7 wines from Paul and 7 wines from Gregoire, where each of those wines has a voice, where it's fair to both Paul and Gregoire to each have 7 that don't necessarily compete with each other in style. So that's been fun to do. I just finished that up with Gregoire yesterday and sent the email off to Paul saying, okay, this is what we decided on, as long as you approve. And everybody's approving. So let's see if you approve by getting 28 of you. We're already more than half full, which is very gratifying. Usually right before the event, all of a sudden, a lot of you sign up. So this is your second alert, not first, letting you know that we are going to have Paul and Gregoire providing a wine Tour de France 4 or 5 days before that bike race starts. And this wine in particular will be featured. This will take us to the Loire Valley, and you're going to say, oh, is it Sancerre? Not in this case. We are going to pour Ravetin, Palatin, what's it called? Oh, I'll remember it later. We are going to pour a Sancerre from Paul, but from Gregoire comes this wine from farther down the river in Saumur, and I think you're going to want some more once you have it. This is a 2021 Chenin Blanc that still has miles to go, I believe. Bone dry Chenin Blanc from the region of Saumur. I'm sure you've heard of Vouvray, but maybe you've not heard of Saumur. This is where I spent a night once with Charles Neal, not in the same room, and enjoyed from the producer he was representing there, a producer named Uro, a 1947 Chenin Blanc that was still stellar. Why? Because Chenin Blanc can do that. Number two, because it did have a little bit of residual sugar, not a lot though. And number three, because it had spent all of its aging years deep in the producer's cave on the banks of the Loire River there. Pretty cool place to go deep into this like bat cave like setting into what look like catacombs. And there's these places where people might have been residing, dead people that is, because there was all this like cotton candy like moss that you had to reach into tentatively and thank God pull out a bottle. The bottles had no labels, they had writing on them indicating the vintage. The labels would not have survived all those decades of humidity in this deep, dank cave, but the wine survived. Oh, man, it was a brilliant Chenin Blanc. This comes from there. I've talked a lot about this event, but it's one I really look forward to. There's nothing like French wine to remind us that the wines of France really are the inspiration for winemaking all over the world. Not all the winemaking. France doesn't work with Sangiovese of Italy. It doesn't work with Tempranillo of Spain necessarily, but so many things that we as winemakers in California and in Australia and so on are inspired by what first happened in France. So we're going to go back and get a primer on the, let's say, original wine country in a way. Anyway, we'll also enjoy that, okay? I hope we can fill this event. I know we will fill the event, but I hope the right people come, the people who would be most appreciative of learning about, enjoying, and hopefully purchasing the wines of France that night. I've smelled this enough, damn it. Let's tell you something about a wine from far closer to home. In fact, it's grown and made about 7 miles that away as the crow flies. This is called Plou or Plouse. You can say it either way. Don't say plus. Well, you can say plus. I don't care. This is the counterpart wine to our better known Domaine de Plouse de Vie that we make virtually every vintage. But this is kind of like a one-off that we made just once because our friend Tony, who grows Syrah, had extra Syrah this year. And he said, Jim, what am I going to do with this? And I said, well, why don't we have a second bottling for the wine steward? And so Plouse is, in fact, made entirely of different lots of wines by Tony, 2 different vintages thereof, mostly Syrah, 2 different vintages, and some Petit Syrah from a very old stand, the Petit Syrah vines owned and controlled by Wente Vineyards. So it's a beautiful, darker, richer blend, perhaps, than the Domaine de Plouse de Vie, and that is, in fact, what we hoped for when we worked on the blend together and when we named it Plouse or Plou. It's plus-sized Plouse de Vie, you could say. Anyway, it's here. It's from Livermore. It's delicious. I'm bringing it up now because the days of grilling are upon us. We are out there in the backyard enjoying this beautiful weather right now and having grill and barbecue going on, and this is a wine that we'll love both, okay? What else is happening on the back patio right now? Well, maybe in a container or maybe in that plot of ground over there, your tomatoes are finally getting ripe. It's taking a while in this cooler spring, but I know I'm starting to get the red ones, and I just had my first homegrown tomato insalata caprese the other night. And what goes on that? How about the best burrata in the world? And where is that made? In Italy, of course. And this is flown over for us from Italy. Every 2 weeks, we get another batch of burrata. We do serve this as a serving up at the wine bar. And this is also available for taking home and making your own creation. Insalata caprese, of course, is the best tomatoes you can find. Hopefully you're growing them yourselves or stealing them from your neighbors. And then upon that, you drizzle some good olive oil, and we have that over there. Right that way, we especially specialize in 3 different olive oils from one producer in Sevilla, Spain, and I recommend any one of those 3. Some are mild and some are a little more peppery, but those Hacienda Guzman olive oils would be fantastic on an insalata caprese. And then atop that, some fresh ground pepper, some thick coarse-grained salt, and then do a chiffonade, look that up, of basil to sprinkle atop. And some people will embellish, perhaps, with a little bit of herbes de Provence, whatever. There's a lot of different interpretations of an ensalada caprese, perhaps leaving the formal definition behind in favor of creativity. But don't forget the burrata, and that we have it here. You can enjoy it up there on that mezzanine, and you can take it home to enjoy on your insalata caprese. It's fun to say. Let's tell you about one wine that's happening on our wine bar right now. And by this wine, reminding me to tell you that everything in the red flight this week is Spanish, and reminding me to tell you also that an old favorite of ours is back. This is a winery I've actually gotten to visit. Sorry for the air conditioning going on. This is 2019 Viña Santurnia Reserva from Rioja, more specifically from the village of Briñas, Rioja, and I'll bet in the future we'll actually be able to see the name of Briñas officially proclaimed on the label, because Rioja is now allowing villages to represent themselves on labels. It's pretty cool, and it's a long time in coming. Finally, Rioja is embracing the, let's say, Burgundy idea, or the idea that many other European places do, where you get to see place names. Rioja, of course, is a place, but it's a big place, 4 times the size of the Napa Valley, don't you know? And so why not isolate locations and see if those locations do each have particular identities? I believe Briñas does, as well as this particular producer's preference to put the wine more traditionally, mostly in American oak, a little French oak, and also to very traditionally add to the 90% Tempranillo a little bit of Graciano and Masuelo. Graciano is Graciano, Masuelo is also known as Carignan. And this is a wonderful wine that you want to decant, that you want to have lamb with, maybe right off the grill. It's on the rustic side in a way. I love this wine for it not being Muga. We love Muga. In fact, Muga is being offered by the glass upstairs as well this week. But this is a nice departure from that, with a little more, you can tell little guys made it. In fact, a uncle and a nephew made this beautiful wine from Viña Santurnia. It's back. It's being represented on the wine bar Red Flight. Upstairs, we are featuring by the glass only a rosé. And you're going to say, that's a rosé? Maybe you will be, because you're more used to a different shade of rosé. But this is one of the original rosés. Pardon me. I have a summer burp. This is from the region of Tavel. And I'm not even going to call it rosé anymore, because Tavel is a region devoted entirely to pink wine. There's no such thing as white or red Tavel. This place right across the river from Châteauneuf-du-Pape makes nothing except this color wine, a dark rosé, I said it, but a darker shade thereof. And it is, of course, you can grow red grapes and white grapes there and make red and white wine, but you simply can't call it Tavel. It would be a Côte-Rhône, okay? It would be declassified. So Tavel is always this color, and the cool thing about it is it's not this color. I'm gonna put this up here for comparison. This is a wine from a little farther south in Provence proper. We're still in Provence, northern Provence, we would call it, when we're in the Rhone Valley. But up here, the tradition is to make the wine a little darker. And that kind of went out of vogue for a little while, where everybody wanted this pale pink stuff inspired by Provence, and made, like, it actually changed the rosé wine industry for about 10 years at least, where certain Italian rosés, which used to be this color, all of a sudden lightened up, because this is what people wanted. It happened in Spain as well. And we do it in California. We're always looking for this more, usually looking for this more delicate color, whereas Tavel sticks to its guns. And as the color implies, this wine will be a little bigger. So if you want evasivity, I'm making words up all the time, but this is the delicate, ethereal, evasive wine that you want out on the patio to sip, sip, sip. This is the wine you want once you use some food. Once you do some grilled chicken, pork chops, a little food, this wine loves it, especially once it gets into the colder months, into the Thanksgiving time. This is the better thing to have on your Thanksgiving table. But in the meantime, do it with grilled foods out on the patio. Maybe have this first with your appetizers or your salade niçoise, and then once the grilling is starting up and you're getting the smoke and the char on protein, bang, Tavel will kill it. So try this new one we just got in from Pelaquier. This, like I said, is available by the glass up there at the wine bar, and it's available to take home as well, as long as you pay for it. Is that all? Finally, I think I covered everything. I just want to remind you one more time that we have that event coming up. Not one, but two different importers of small production French wine, Burgundy and Rhone and Champagne and will be enjoyed and talked about that night. And two different importers will take turns representing their wines to you. How cool. That only happens here at the Wine Steward, maybe at a few other places out there, but nowhere near here. Anyway, thank you for supporting the cause. And go Messi.